10 years ago or so is when the Marine Life Protection Act process began.
All up and down the North Coast, there were a variety of different projects that hit on all different habitats that are going to be included in MPAs. An MPA, or Marine Protected Area, is an area that is designated by the state to have certain restrictions, certain take of a particular species or no take at all, in an effort to conserve the area and provide a safe haven for species to go away from fishing pressures.
When the state decided to put these MPAs in our area, the tribe stood up and says, we're going to continue our traditional practices of harvesting these resources.
It was pretty clear in the law that there wasn't really acknowledgement of tribal rights or tribal customary or subsistence uses within the marine protected areas. So there was a need to sort of make that case to the state that tribes, retain these unceded rights to continue to use the ocean. We were successful in getting tribal take recognized in the state process, so it's been, a small victory in at least creating a space within the state framework to recognize tribal harvesting. So then that rolled into the MPA baseline monitoring program.
I came on board to conduct the MPA baseline monitoring projects, which were a collaboration between tribes and academic institutions to establish a baseline of data of species that are present, population abundance, and that sort of thing. What about in there? Is that too rocky?
We can try that.
So besides our biotoxin monitoring for mussels, razor clams, and plankton, we also do our smelt habitat assessments.
So this is a GPSing unit, so what we're going to do is we'll walk the perimeter of this gravel bed. And this gravel bed here is what we would consider smelt habitat. And then I'll go over here and take a GPS point of where she's taking temperature.
Okay, my temperature is stabilized on my first one, so we got 55.5. And push it down. So this would be really nice gravel for them to spawn in. This is very, very suitable habitat right now. And their eggs have this really super adhesive coating on them, so they'll stick to the gravel. When we're done, we try to leave it as undisturbed as possible for the smelt.
Foot traffic won't crush those eggs, but vehicle traffic will. We try to stay on the same road that we made on the way down, and then that way there's not a whole bunch of tracks all over the beach. Looks like we're out here playing. We're actually working.
All right, well, should we try to go get some more mussels then?
Wait for that to go out and maybe go up over that rock right there. There you go.
So it's important to have a tribal perspective when coming into these projects because Indigenous people of the North Coast have been here since time immemorial. They've seen the changes, they know what's there. To have their perspective and their traditional knowledge in these projects is a key piece to understanding the current resources and the current uses of these resources.
When you're harvesting from the sea, you want to make sure that you're harvesting for sustenance. And you never take the largest of any species. You always leave it because they create the largest offspring, the best offspring, the strongest offspring. So you usually harvest the middle-aged things from the ocean. And you are very cautious of the young ones, the mashkhaya, of all the animals in sea life, because they need to continue to grow. We have even a verb for musseling, for example, dagag, that means to move around. You don't scuff them off the rock and take all generations. You pry them and rock them loose. So it's a verb specifically for gathering mussels. You're just taught to always respect the food because, well, it's our sustenance, it's a way of life, and you have a relationship with them that's very important.
They're just so packed in here.
It is packed. Like the rock is probably at least a foot below all of these mussels.
Since tribes are such place-based people, I mean, having that like generations and generations and generations of observation in a particular place really can tell you a much richer understanding of what's going on. You know, all the other studies are looking at today. Where are the populations of these species today, and how are they going to change in the future? But is today really abundant and healthy? No, it's really not. I think that's where I would like to see a lot more focus, is how do you sort of support tribes building their own capacity, gathering this knowledge for their own purpose, and then using that sort of in parallel with co-management with the state.
You have the traditional side on how to take care of resources, and then you have the actual numbers or data that we collect, and it shows that change. So it all works together. In the sense, in Western science, it's just backing up what we've been taught forever.
So do we know where the mussels are? Are they out there?
Yeah, they're right out the door.
We dump the water outside, huh?
Well, we can dump it down the sink. Because then we can
Is that Saints hot tower?
Yeah.
Just leave it right there.
Yeah, just kind of like Homeskate.
Then you go.
What were you doing while they were making?
Oh my god.
Nannas Dishta Nuhwa Wa Yistan. May we shrinis Nannas Nuhwa Nataknish. So the earth gives us this food, she sends it forth for us, and every day she prepares for us. He won new Shrikhan. That's why we can rejoice and be happy. May we shrinis di nannas mina gaiknash. Let us remember the earth every day. Hichu huiti di shtan hiwe naga taknash shutnakwanila. So every one of you that got in there and worked on this food, we thank you. Tlanshri, 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 Nuhwa Yastan. And many, many, many things have been set down here for us. He won Nushrei Khanwa. And that's why our hearts can rejoice. You know, Western pedagogy says that we're separate from the environment, but we're just animals too. That's why we're called primitive. But I think we're very civilized because we have a long-term relationship with our world, and we're a part of that world.
We need to look at what we're really doing to Mother Nature and our oceans and our rivers and the land. I've been taught that we're stewards of the land, you know, my people, but I think all people are stewards of the land. They just need to be a little bit more aware.
We do have angst and worry for the generations coming, the new shricha, our children, because what are they going to eat? What's going to be left for them? And so, but I think this is a global concern. I don't think it belongs only to us, but We believe it's brought on by waste and by mismanagement and not having respect for the resources.
You know, you only take what you need. You don't take more than what you can use. There was times get all excited because we're young, energetic fishermen, my cousins and I, we'd want to go catch more. And my grandma would say, no, you guys have to stop because we have enough. You have to let those guys spawn and, you know, make their babies to come back for next year and years to come.
The wisdom we've been given over the years really helps us so that we can maintain that longevity and progress that we made as our people survived. And to know that the things you've been taught by your parents and your ancestors is growing in you and growing in your children. And tears just welled in my eyes again. And I said, now I can die. I can die because I know it's going to carry on. And that's a good feeling in your heart.